Hey guys, welcome back to Tianshi Recaps. I'm your host Tianshi. Today we're diving into a chilling Indonesian horror film that will send shivers down your spine. The movie is called Almaram, and trust me, it's not for the faint of heart. Before we jump into this eerie tale, don't forget to subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another spine-tingling recap. The film begins with a mysterious ritual. A group of people is gathered in silent prayer. Outside, Nuri and her brother Yanda are buried in the sand with only their heads visible above ground. A woman stands nearby, approaches Nuri, and gently touches her head. Nuri immediately screams in terror. The screen cuts to black. We're then taken back to 6 days earlier. Nuri and Yanda live at home with their family. Their father Mol is concerned about Yanda's future. He wants him to find a proper job, but Yanda isn't interested. He prefers working on the farm and staying close to the land. Mol discusses this with his wife Rami, but during the conversation, he suddenly experiences a sharp pain in his chest. He dismisses it and decides to lie down and rest. The next day, Mol goes to take a bath. At the same time, the water heater inside is damaged. Electricity begins to leak into the water. As Mol steps into the bathroom, he is electrocuted and dies on the spot. His death is not considered a peaceful one. According to local belief, dying on this particular day is a bad omen. Mol's friend Budi tells the family that they need to perform a special ritual. If they don't, something terrifying could happen within 5 days. Waisa, the eldest son, doesn't believe in such things and refuses to take part. But Rami is afraid and insists on going through with it. The ritual begins before Mol's body is moved. The family breaks ceramic bowls as part of the ceremony, and flower petals are scattered on the ground before them. The day after the funeral marks the first day. The family gathers to pray for Mol, hoping to guide his spirit to peace. But something strange happens. As the prayers continue, Rami suddenly hears Mol's voice. She follows it through the house, emotionally overwhelmed, and pleads with him to take her with him. Nuri and Mol's sister-in-law Ajeng find Rami in distress and comfort her. Still terrified, Rami refuses to sleep alone that night, so Nuri stays with her. While they're sleeping together, a photo frame falls from the shelf on its own. Nuri calmly picks it up and puts it back, then leaves to go to her own room. The moment she steps out, the candle in Rami's room extinguishes by itself. As Nuri reaches her doorway, she hears a strange noise coming from the kitchen. She checks but finds nothing there. A few moments later, the sound happens again. She returns, and once again the candle has mysteriously gone out. Still not thinking much of it, Nuri talks with Yanda about their mother's condition. They recall that only the two of them actually completed the ritual. During the ceremony, Rami fainted, and Waisa had to help her out, so she and Waisa didn't finish the process. They wonder if that's why she's being affected now. But Waisa remains skeptical. He dismisses their concerns, saying he doesn't believe in bad omens. He tells them he needs to return to the hospital. He has patients waiting and no time for what he sees as superstition. Day 2 begins with Nuri heading to her mother's room to check on her, but Rami is gone. Alarmed, Nuri and Ajeng search the house, but there's no sign of her. They rush outside, and what they see terrifies them. Rami is lying in the middle of the road, and a car is speeding directly toward her. Nuri tries to open the front door to get to her, but the door is stuck. Thankfully, Yanda is outside. He pulls Rami out of the way, saving her just in time. They bring her back inside, but what happens next is deeply disturbing. With a strange, twisted smile, Rami looks at Nuri and says she has some news. The bad news is she will die soon, and the good news is she plans to take them with her. Waisa tries to rationalize it, saying their mother is just sick and not in her right mind. But Yanda doesn't accept that. He snaps at Waisa, asking him directly, "You're a doctor then, explain this. Why is mom shivering so badly when she doesn't even have a fever or cold?" Waisa is silent. He has no answer. The next morning, day 3 begins. Rami appears to be a little better. She afraid that she will die on the 7th day. Later, while praying, something eerie happens. Behind her is a mirror. As Rami kneels, her reflection stays standing still, completely out of sync. She doesn't notice it. When she finishes praying and turns to leave, the window suddenly opens on its own. Curious and uneasy, Rami steps closer to inspect it. Just then, Mol's corpse appears in front of her, terrifying. She screams and falls backward in shock. At that exact moment, the ceiling fan above comes loose and crashes down, landing right on Rami. The impact of the falling ceiling fan is devastating. Rami is struck directly in the face, the blades tearing into her. Her injuries are gruesome, and she dies instantly right there on the floor. Nuri, horrified, turns to Waisa and says this is happening because the ritual wasn't completed properly. She believes their family is cursed, but Waisa still refuses to accept it. He tells her it was nothing more than an unfortunate accident. That night, Nuri decides to sleep near her mother's body. As she tries to rest, Rami suddenly appears in front of her. Nuri freezes in terror, but in the blink of an eye, the figure vanishes. It was just a terrifying illusion, or so it seems. Outside, Waisa is standing alone, trying to calm himself. That's when he hears someone calling his name. He turns slowly and sees his mother standing in the distance, eerily still calling him to come with her. Suddenly, his father's ghost appears beside him, also calling out. Waisa is paralyzed with fear. At that moment, the light above him explodes, raining sparks and sending him running back to the house in a panic. He grabs a bottle of sleeping pills, swallows them quickly, and forces himself to sleep, desperate to escape whatever is happening around him. The fourth day begins with another tragedy. Rami is buried beside her husband, and the atmosphere is heavy with grief. Yanda and Nuri break down in tears at the grave, mourning the loss of both their parents. But Waisa doesn't cry, he's too shaken. The terrifying visions from the night before still haunt him. He tries to brush them off, but deep down fear has taken hold. Later, Budi, a close family friend, secretly gives an address to Yanda, suggesting someone there might be able to help them. Yanda shows it to Nuri and insists, "We need to go. It's the only way we can save Waisa." The two of them set off to find the person at the address, hoping for answers before it's too late. Back at the house, Waisa is still asleep. Suddenly, a window slams shut with a loud bang, jolting him awake. Breathing heavily, he looks into the mirror and sees a ghostly figure standing right behind him. He spins around, but no one's there. Disturbed, he steps out into the hallway and hears his mother's voice calling him softly. He follows it to her bedroom, the same room where she died. To his surprise, the ceiling fan area that had fallen and killed her is now perfectly repaired. Waisa steps closer and suddenly begins to shiver uncontrollably, as if caught in a freezing wind. But Ajeng, who's also nearby, feels nothing. Everything seems normal to her. Even more disturbed, Waisa looks back at the spot where the fan fell and sees blood oozing out from the ceiling. Nuri and Yanda arrive at the mysterious address Budi gave them. A woman greets them at the door, her face filled with dread, as if she's seen too much. She invites them in and listens quietly as they explain what's been happening to their family. After a pause, she says something chilling. No one can fight death. Once it has chosen, no ritual or prayer can undo it. Meanwhile, back at the house, Waisa begins acting strangely. He searches around the bedroom in a panic, almost as if he's looking for something. He drops to the floor and looks under the bed, where he suddenly finds his mother's severed eye staring back at him. Horrified, he throws it away. But when he checks again, there's nothing there. The eye is gone. Still shaken, Waisa spots a tied-up pouch hidden under the bed. He has no idea what it is, so he takes a photo and sends it to Nuri, hoping she might know. Just then, the window behind him bursts open, violently slamming against the wall. He spins around and sees something he can't comprehend. His father's corpse is standing silently in the room. Waisa closes his eyes in fear. When he opens them, the body is gone. He looks outside and sees his father walking across the yard. Drawn by the vision, Waisa follows. Ajeng wakes up and finds Waisa is missing. She calls out for him, but there's no answer. Realizing something is wrong, she starts searching for him. Back at the healer's home, the old woman finally confirms Nuri's worst fear. If someone in the family dies on a cursed day and the ritual is not completed properly, those who failed to perform it will also die one after another. Nuri is shaken. Just then, Ajeng calls, panicking Waisa is missing. Nuri opens the message he sent earlier and sees the photo of the strange tied pouch he found under the bed. Realizing time is running out, she and Yanda rush home to save him. Meanwhile, Waisa, still following the ghostly vision of his father, wanders deep into a forest. As he moves through the darkness with only a matchbox for light, his mother's corpse suddenly appears, terrifying him. He turns and runs blindly through the woods, but in his panic, he steps into an old animal trap. The metal jaws snap shut on his leg. He screams in agony and with great effort eventually manages to free himself. Bloody and limping, he makes it out to the roadside and flags down a passing car begging for help. The driver rushes him to a nearby clinic, but when they arrive, the place is completely empty. With no one in sight, Weisse collapses onto a stretcher, shivering and fading in and out of consciousness. Then everything goes quiet until he opens his eyes. He sees the corpses of his mother and father wheeling his stretcher down a hallway toward the mortuary. He screams and tries to move, but he's weak and his wound is still fresh. Suddenly, all the other bodies stored nearby begin to rise slowly, turning their heads toward him. The corpses close in. Weisse panics, tries to flee, but slips and falls. His body crashes down onto a sharp broken piece of metal on the stretcher. He dies instantly. Nuri and Yanda rush back home only to hear the devastating news. Weisse has been found at the clinic. The doctor confirms the worst. Weisse died from severe blood loss. His body couldn't take the trauma. Both Nuri and Yanda break down in tears, consumed by guilt and sorrow. Another sibling gone, another victim of the curse. The next morning, on the 5th day, Weisse's funeral takes place. Nuri and Yanda stand silently as the grave is filled, 3 family members lost in just a few days. The weight is unbearable. Back home, they struggle to focus on anything. Yanda, in tears, blames himself. If Weisse had just listened, just once, he'd still be here. He never believed me about the cursed day. As emotions run high, Nuri suddenly begins shivering uncontrollably, the same way Rami did before her death. Something's wrong. She rushes to her room, searching desperately, and finds another tied ritual pouch under her bed, just like the one Weisse found. Their fate is catching up to them. Without wasting time, Nuri and Yanda return to the healer's home, clutching the pouch. Confused and desperate, they ask the woman why this is still happening. We performed the ritual. Why are we still being affected? The healer answers with a grave tone. To truly break the curse, you must offer something deeper, your blood. And a new ritual begins. Their blood is drawn into a sacred bowl, and outside a pit is being prepared. This is the moment we saw at the beginning of the film. Nuri and Yanda are buried up to their necks. In the earth, their bodies covered, only their heads exposed. Chants echo in the air. As the ritual continues, the healer begins to see haunting visions. She witnesses all 3 horrifying deaths that have struck the family. Then the truth finally becomes clear. These deaths were not just random or caused by an incomplete ritual. They were the result of a terrible betrayal. It was Nuri's uncle, Ajeng's father, who secretly set this nightmare into motion. He had performed a dark ritual in the past, hoping to protect his daughter Ajeng. His intention was to offer others in the family as a sacrifice, believing it would save her. But now the consequences of his actions are turning against him. At his home, the uncle suddenly starts to feel cold. His body begins to shiver uncontrollably. He goes to grab a jacket and is shocked to see a ghost staring directly at him. Panicked, he shuts the doors and locks every entrance in the house. But the ghost is not done with him. It appears again, closer this time, standing motionless. Uncle falls to the floor in fear. Objects in the room begin falling over one after another. Then, without touching him, the ghost begins to choke him. He gasps for breath and tries to crawl away. Just then, a large cupboard topples over onto him. A container hidden inside spills open, and acid pours directly onto his face. At the same time, the ghost begins bleeding. The blood drips onto his body, mixing with the acid. Screaming in pain, the uncle dies right there on the floor, consumed by the very darkness he brought upon his own family. Back at the ritual site, things take a terrifying turn. Nuri, still buried in the sand, begins to see ghostly figures surrounding her. Panic builds in her chest as the ritual grows more intense. Unable to bear it any longer, Nuri pulls herself out of the sand and runs in fear. As Nuri runs in terror, the ghost continues to chase her. Desperate to escape, she hides behind a large tree. Just then, a lightning bolt strikes the tree. The blast creates a shockwave that throws Nuri to the ground. She hits her head and falls unconscious. While she lies there, the truth begins to unfold in a series of flashbacks. We finally learn what drove all of this horror to begin with. Nuri's uncle had been struggling to support his daughter Ajeng. He had no money to pay for her education. Out of desperation, he went to Mul and begged for help. Mul agreed to support Ajeng's studies, but kept delaying. Ajeng, heartbroken and angry, cried to her father. She believed Mul would never keep his promise and that she would be stuck as a maid in the house forever. That moment of frustration and pain led the uncle down a dark path. He turned to black magic. To make the ritual work, he created small cursed pouches and gave them to Ajeng. He instructed her to secretly place them under the beds in Mul's house. Ajeng followed his instructions. She was the one who cursed the family. All of this is revealed in the flashback while Nuri remains unconscious. Back in the present, the healer finds Nuri and carries her back to the ritual site. With no time to waste, she buries Nuri in the sand once again to continue the ceremony and try to stop the curse once and for all. Meanwhile, at home, Ajeng tries to tie the family horse to the post. But the horse becomes restless and refuses to stay still. Suddenly, the door swings open by itself. Spooked, the horse breaks free and begins to sprint wildly. The rope from the horse's reins is somehow tangled around Nuri's leg. Without warning, she is dragged out of the burial pit and pulled across the ground at full speed. The horse runs uncontrollably through the forest. Then tragedy strikes. Nuri's body slams into a sharp piece of wood along the path. The impact is brutal, and she meets her end instantly. And just like that, the nightmare seems to be over. But there's still a lingering question: was it the ritual performed by the mysterious lady that truly saved Nuri and Yanda? Or was it the earlier ritual during their father's funeral? As the final scene rolls, we see the ritual lady once again. She opens her door to welcome someone, and it turns out to be Booty, Mul's old friend. The screen fades to black right after that. The ending is definitely twisted and leaves us with more questions than answers. Could Booty have been the one behind all of this from the start? Let us know what you think in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And make sure to turn on the bell so you don't miss any future uploads. Thanks for watching Tianshi Recaps. See you in the next horror dive. Bye.